And this one, this one has little strawberry print. Hi, my name is Mariah. Welcome back to my knitting and poetry podcast, Woolen Words. This is episode 2, and if you saw my first episode, then you might be surprised to see that I have a new haircut. I got bangs, and I'm really loving them so far, so I'm excited that I got my haircut. It was really cold this morning, so I put on this sweater, and now it is very toasty in here, but we'll see. We'll see if I keep it on. But I'm excited to share with you guys my knitting and poetry progress since the last time I did one of these. It was 2 weeks ago. So let's dive right in. First, I want to start off with finished objects, which I do have 2, one of which I technically had started a really long time ago, but I never sewed it together. And it is this tiny little duck that I am making for my dad for Christmas. He asked for them and he ordered a bunch of little animals, and so I'm crocheting him a whole zoo, basically. But I will get into that a little bit later. But this one, I finally sewed it together. I had all the pieces made. I just needed to sew it together really quick. So I finally did that, and this is my first finished object. It is so cute. He's getting a little blown out in the colors. That's a little bit better, I think. He's just adorable. I don't know. I just love it. But it is, let me check my notes. This is The Mallard Duck by Sir Pearl Grey. And I'll, of course, leave all the links below and stuff like that. But this was basically just yarn, acrylic yarn that I've had in my stash for a really long time. And I finally am using it up sewing all these animals, crocheting all these animals for my dad. So this one, he's so adorable. I can't get over how cute he came out. But I love it, and I'm sure my dad's gonna love it too. So my next finished object is actually a whip that I had last week, and it is this sock. It is the Vanilla Latte sock by Virginia Rose. I don't know how to say the rest of her name, but it is a great pattern. It's very easy to follow. There's like multiple options for the heel flaps. So that's really cool. I just did the slip stitch one, and I did just a regular rounded toe. But yeah, I finished it. I wove in all the ends, and I have myself a pair of socks. And I'm so excited to wear them because finally, eventually, it will get cooler here. And I love just wearing cozy socks when it's a little bit colder. We have, it's not wood floor, but it's like the vinyl wood floor made to look like wood, so it kind of gets a little cold in the winter months. I say winter, we live in Texas. It's not that cold, but it is nice to just wear some slippers or some cozy socks. So yeah, I'm happy that I finally finished this. I had it in progress for months, and I finally just needed to get it out of my projects. So that is all for my yarn-related finished objects. But I actually wrote a few poems, 3 poems it looks like, since the last podcast that I did, which I'm really excited about. I feel like lately I've been getting back in the groove of like writing poetry, which is really exciting, because for a while I kind of didn't, and it felt weird, and I wanted to get back into it, and I don't know. But I finally wrote 3 poems the last 2 weeks. One of them, I was scrolling on Pinterest and I saw this picture and I instantly thought of this character, this person, and I instantly went to my notes app on my phone and just started writing a poem, and I really like how it turned out. I forgot to get them off of my phone though, and I'm using my phone to record this, so I will have to like insert a clip of like what my poems are if I'm gonna read them to you guys, which I kind of want to read these. Yeah, I wanted to share the one that I wrote based on the picture that I saw on Pinterest. It was just a random picture that I saw scrolling, and I instantly was like, oh, I could write a poem about that. Oh good, the light's still on. They haven't moved on. Floating stars twinkle across the autumn air. Lightning bugs, here to stay when I didn't. Reflections of a window paint the moon glow on the river. Fireplace, inviting all, the ones I hurt. Rustling leaves chase the water's ripples. Steady breeze, cooling tempers, forgiving heats. I sigh. The trees remember me. The house, the hills, the banks. Dark shadows now, but they remember. Hope, a whisper, flickering with the bugs, glowing with the fire, spreading like the ripples. Hope, I'll remember love. Maybe love will remember me too. Thought that was just a fun little poem. I, like I said, was just inspired by that picture. Once a poem starts, you cannot stop it. It is just flows out of you, you know? I feel like there's a quote about that I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find it. The other one, I was listening to Florence and the Machine. Just masterful music. Such good lyricism. She is pure art. But I was listening to that, and I don't know what made me think of this, but I just thought of a line about, like, I eat hurricanes for breakfast, or like I drink hurricanes for my morning coffee. Like, I don't know, some sort of concept like that had to do with that, and I was like, that would be really cool to write about. And so I did. So I wrote a poem, and I'm really happy with that one. I feel like us as humans, we don't always view ourselves as nature. So I love taking human concepts and describing them through nature, or incorporating nature into them somehow. And then I wrote a poem about sadness. I don't know if that's the best description of this poem, but it's just about sadness. I don't know if I will keep this one in, but this was the sadness poem that I wrote. I wrote it in a cafe when I just went to have lunch by myself and do a little bit of work, little creative work, and this is what came out of it. It's a sadness, I think, a sadness to know, a horrible, grieving, ugly sadness. It creeps and leaves as it pleases, hiding, watching, long enough to be forgotten, always returning, often enough to ruin longing. The worst surprise, like a nightmare, is to a dream, a skulking shadow, a phantom fury, a sadness with no beginning. It's always been, may always spin. But night can't always be, can't always win. Not with me, it can't. Take both my knees, leave my peace. Sadness, I plead. You can't have me. You can't. Not over my dead body. So yeah, that was my poem. I never quite know how to end that, but hope you liked them. I also wanted to include some stories that I've read, or like books that I'm reading, stuff like that. So as I go through, I just kind of wanted to give you more of an idea of like what my reading style is and what I am currently working on and reading and consuming. So I actually read a short story and a poem in these past 2 weeks, which is definitely not a lot. But I'm also in the process of reading some books, so I'll get to that in a little bit. But these I completed, so I'm counting them as finished objects. One was The Box Social, and I totally forgot to put who wrote it, but it's this kind of infamous short story. I feel like a lot of people had to read it in school. I never did, but it's called The Box Social, and it is quite the short story. It's literally only like 2 pages or a page and a half, depending on what you're looking at. But the ending is quite dramatic, and you will know when you get there. I don't want to spoil it, but it definitely is like, I don't know, just very dramatic ending. I did like it though. I think it was a little bit much for me. I don't know if I generally like those sorts of stories that are quite that intense and dramatic, but I definitely appreciate the art of it, and he did I think it was a man who wrote it. They did a very good job writing it and putting in all of these details in such a short story to give you this whole story, but in such a short amount of words. So it was very masterfully done, but maybe not my cup of tea. The poem that I read was Child of the Pure Unclouded Brow, and it is by Lewis Carroll. And I think I have read this before. I think I had read it, but I could not remember, and it didn't ring a bell, and so I looked it up and I read it, and it is so good. I mean, Lewis Carroll has so many like whimsical, fantastical stories and poems that it's always so fun. It's always so fun to read his work. And this was no different. Definitely just captures the imagination that children have, and like how it's almost like how we can capture that as an adult. And I just love that, the whimsy of Lewis Carroll's writing. It's so good. So that is all for my finished objects, and now we will get into my whips. So as far as knitting goes, I am in the same boat as I was the last time I talked to you guys. I didn't cast anything new on, but I'm still working on my hummingbird sweater, which if you want to see in more depth, definitely check out my last podcast. I figured I didn't want to haul out the entire sweater this time, so I am just showing you what I have worked on since the last podcast. And I have this little progress keeper from The Sated Sheep. It's a very cute little, I don't know if you can see that, it's very blown out. Oh, I don't know if it wants to focus. But it's a very cute little wooden charm that says The Sated Sheep. We got it when we were in Austin. We went and visited that yarn store, and it is so fun. They were so nice. Yes, so that was where I was the last podcast that I did, so 2 weeks ago. And this is all I have done since then. So I guess, what is that, like a few inches maybe? As a knitter, someone who crafts with yarn, you would think that I would be better at estimating distances, but I am horrific at it. I am so bad at guesstimating inches, centimeters, miles, any distance. I'm like, I don't know, this is probably like 6 feet, who knows? But I'm pretty happy with that progress. I'm getting into the really complicated part where I have, let me see if I can show you, 3 hummingbirds going across here. So I just have so much yarn to deal with, and it gets really tangled, and it is a lot. It's a lot. But that's okay. That's all right. We are trucking along with the hummingbird sweater and the tangled mess that it becomes. And the other work in progress that I have, I showed you guys last time as well, but it is my husband's muscle brow hat. These are my giant cable needles that I have them on. But again, I have this little progress keeper. Where is it? Which I will talk about in a little bit in more detail. But that is where I was. Oh, these needles keep banging around. That is where I was 2 weeks ago, and I've just done that. I did not get to really work on it as much as I thought I would. I feel like I have a hair. I did not get to work on this as much as I thought I might. It was actually a pretty busy couple weeks. I feel like we had a lot of work going on, and like I was working this weekend, and my husband also had to work a day on the weekend, which he normally doesn't. So that kind of threw off our schedule, and we've also just been like, we've had to do a lot in the evenings and catch up on chores and, just life stuff, so I didn't get to knit quite as much as I had anticipated, but that's all right. We are still making progress. We will get there eventually. Oh, and this is the... I will have all of the pattern information down below. I know this is The Muscle Burrow by Isolde Teague, and this is Miss Bab's Fired Up yarn. I forget the type of yarn, but like I said, you can either check out my last podcast or all the information will be on my Ravelry, which I will link below. And those are my whips as far as knitting goes. Like I said, I didn't cast anything new on. I'm just really trying to work on the hummingbird sweater as much as I can. And now that it's getting closer to Christmas and it's almost November, oh my gosh, I will be crocheting those animals for my dad. So that's kind of what November and December will entail for me. But we'll see if I end up doing any other projects, casting something on just because I feel like it. We will see. I feel like I definitely don't want to do too much though, because that's already a lot and I don't want to run out of time before Christmas to finish what I really want to finish. I feel like there's a hair or a fuzz or something and I cannot find it. I also wanted to share with you what I am currently reading as far as books go. And it's kind of a lot. I have a whole stack. This first book I had never really heard of until I was watching a YouTube video by this creator, Emmy. She makes book vlogs, reading, all about reading. She's an English literature major and she talks all about reading, shares her life, and reads a lot of like classics and really interesting books. So I heard her talk about this. I think she recommended it in a October book recommendation video of hers. So it was all about like spooky October-y vibe books that you can read, and she mentioned this one. It is The Turn of the Screw. Oh man. I tried something different with my lighting and I don't think it's working out, but that's all right. We live and we learn, you know? It's The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, and this also has other short stories in here, but the one that I am reading, and I just realized that I have my bookmark in the completely wrong place. I think I just shoved it in there in a hurry, and I totally have no idea where I was now, but that's all right. So I'm reading The Turn of the Screw, and it's only this back part of the book. It's not the entire book. There's a lot of other short stories in here, so I am excited to finish reading it. On the back it says, it's a chilling masterpiece of psychological terror, and James mixes the phantoms of the mind with those of the supernatural. So it's very spooky, very Halloween, which, you know, we're getting close to Halloween. It's literally next Monday, so less than a week. So I need to hurry up and finish it. But so far, I really like this author's writing, so we'll see how the story turns out. The next one I have been reading for I feel like the rest of these, I started reading them a really long time ago, and I just haven't dedicated enough time to finish them. It's not that I don't want to, it's not that I'm not interested. I actually love, I think, all of these that I'm reading, but I just haven't finished them. This one is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, and I am so excited to finish this. I do know what happens, but I feel like with Oscar Wilde, you still gotta read it. Like, and his writing is so beautiful. I love his imagery and stuff that I don't care if it's been spoiled for me. I am gonna keep reading it, and it is so interesting so far. The conversations that his characters have in this book are just wild. Like, I love it. I love it so much. it's so interesting. I'm like, I feel like I'm a part of the conversation that's happening, and I'm so intrigued. So, yes, this is Oscar Wilde, not Dorian Gray, but, and this is another one where it has like other writings in this book. I get a lot of my books from Half Price Books. It's just like a used bookstore here that we have. It's either that or Barnes & Noble, and Barnes & Noble is super expensive and sometimes hard to find books like this, or I don't know, like The Turn of the Scribe, but I doubt I could find it there. So yeah, I love Half Price Books and getting books literally at half the price of what they would be anywhere else, and Barnes & Noble. So I'm loving this, loving that. And if you don't know anything about The Picture of Dorian Gray, it is about this guy, Dorian Gray. He basically has this painting of him, or his friend paints him in a portrait, and he starts to notice that the painting is aging and changing, but he's not. And the more awful things that he does and the worse of a person he becomes, the uglier his picture becomes. And it's just the story of that and what that does to him. So it is very interesting, and I really am enjoying it so far. The next book that I'm reading is Where the Crawdads Sing. I don't know if I had ever heard of it before the movie started coming out. But when I heard that there was a movie coming out based on a book, I was like, say no more. Oh, you know what it was? Taylor Swift released her song, Oh Carolina, or Carolina, whatever it's called. And I heard that and I was like, stop everything. I need to read the book. I need to see the movie. I need to know everything about this, because Taylor Swift is amazing. And that song of hers is like absolutely incredible. It fits the movie, and I'm assuming the book, what I've read, it fits so magnificently, and it is just a masterpiece. And this book is so interesting so far. I literally have only made it 4 chapters in, but I am hooked. This is probably one of my favorite opening, where is it? It's like it's the prologue. It's not even the first chapter. It's the prologue, but the way that it starts is literally one of my favorite descriptions of anything ever. And maybe that's not accurate, but when I read it, I literally was like, oh, this is forever ingrained in my head now. And I love it. I'm just going to read it because it is so beautiful. It's actually in the movie. So if you see the movie, you will know the opening lines of the book. Marsh is not swamp. Marsh is a space of light where grass grows in water and water flows into the sky. Slow-moving creeks wander, carrying the orb of the sun with them to the sea, and long-legged birds lift with unexpected grace, as though not built to fly, against the roar of 1,000 snow geese. And it goes on, and it is beautiful, and I instantly was like, yep, nope, I love it. I will say it is very sad. So sad. You just really feel for the main character and how her life just gets more sad. But it's really good so far, and I really need to keep reading. These next 2 are not novels, they are poetry books. And this one by Rainer Maria Rilke is actually his diaries that he wrote as a young poet. And he was encouraged to keep a diary by his mentor. I don't remember his mentor's name. It was a woman. He kept a different diary for every location that he lived during this time period. And so this one, the first one that's in here is the Florence Diary, and that's the one that I was reading. And it's so interesting because obviously he was a young poet. He was at the beginning of his like poetry career when he was writing all this, and it's, I think, going to be fascinating to see how he develops as a writer through his diaries. He's just one of my favorite poets, definitely. Also something that I owe to Emmy. Her name is Emma, but her channel name is Emmy. But she shared her love of Rilke and his poetry and his writing. And I was like, oh, the way she talks about him, I need his poetry in my life. He talks about love and nature and God, and just, it's so beautiful. And the way that he writes is just, it's so great. This one is Essential Bukowski. This is a collection of poetry by Charles Bukowski. He is one of America's best-known contemporary writers of poetry and prose, and he was born in Germany. I have not read all of the poems, but I kind of randomly skip around and read different ones every now and again. His titles crack me up sometimes. He has really interesting poem titles, and I just love his style. He is very conversational, I would say, in his poetry. Like, it sounds like he's just talking to a friend or to himself. Such a unique style, I think, from the poetry that I tend to read. But I had seen a few of his poems across, like, Pinterest or, I don't know, the internet in general. And I would always be like, oh my gosh, he has such good quotes. Like, I always see good quotes from him. And so I finally picked up a collection of his poetry, and I am absolutely loving it so far. There are so many that are just so, like, such a gut punch, so gut-wrenching. And there's so much emotion in his poetry, even though it is very conversational. He's so good. So good. So that wraps it up for all of my whips, poetry related and knitting related. And now I want to go into acquisitions, and I kind of have like quite a few things to share with you guys, but I will start with the knitting related stuff. So this was something that I picked up just at, I think, Hobby Lobby, and they are little tags that you can sew into handmade clothing, and it says stitched with love, 100% handmade, authentic, crafted with care. But I wanted to get them so that I could have them for the hummingbird sweater. And I thought that would be a good way for my Nana, when she has the sweater, to know how to put it on. Make it easier on her, that she knows the front from the back. And, you know, I don't know. I just thought that was a good idea to get. So there's kind of a lot. I think it comes with 12 of them. Yeah, 12 piece. And they'll be nice to have as I make more knitted clothing. The next thing, I need to take them out of here. I keep my little stitch markers in these adorable little antique pill bottles that I got at the antique mall near us. And it's just so I don't lose them in my knitting bag, my little notions bag. But I just have some like regular, oh man, the light is really harsh. I'm so sorry. I just have some regular, like, what do you call them? Light bulb stitch markers. But then I also bought charms and little lobster claws so that I could make my own. Let me see how I can, like, hope that that's okay and that it's not too bad. But there's these adorable little charms. This one is just a little blue stone. It's not a stone, but you know what I mean. And there's like an orange one, which I don't know if you can see it all. There, I think you can kind of see it there. And there's also like a little pearl type white one. And then you saw the other two, which is the little cactus. I'll show you again. Yeah, this one came with two, and they're these cute little cactus charms. Cactus with a little flower on it. And I thought they were so fun and so cute. So I had to get one. But yes, I love them. I thought that, oh, I hope you can see the flower. Sorry, I think it was backwards. I will have to figure something else out with my lighting, but thought I would try it today, and that's alright if it doesn't work out. I'll fix it for next time. But yes, I was excited to get more of those because I only had a couple, and I found myself in need of more like progress keepers. So I thought I'd make my own and cute little charms, and now I have so many of those lobster claws left that I don't know when I'll ever get more, but they're nice to have. The next two things I'm really excited for, and I didn't know if they were going to show up in time, but they did for me to film this podcast, and they are these beautiful bags by Paper Crane Yarns. She has a podcast here on YouTube, and I think her name is Ashley, and she, in her video, was mentioning that she did a fall shop update, and at her yarn shop, Paper Crane Yarns, and I saw, I don't know if it was this bag, and I was like, oh, I need it. I definitely need that. And so I got it, and I also got another one because it was adorable. But this one has mushrooms and fern leaves and little like almost like dandelion wispy little things. It's such a cute pattern, and it is a drawstring bag. And then on the inside, first of all, it has two pockets. I think these are her medium bags, I believe. But it has two big pockets here. But the inside is lined with, I don't know if you can see this, acorn fabric. And it is so cute. Let me see if I can show you a little bit better. I love this one. And then I also got this one, which is a little, I guess, more like October spooky fall time, but it has bats on it, and I guess those are maybe moths, and then I guess some more naturey floral type of things. They are adorable, and they're so well made too. And this one this one has little strawberry print fabric inside. I think it's super cute, and I just imagine that it's because these are fruit bats on the outside and they are munching on these strawberries. I think it's really cute. And again, it has the two pockets. It's the same type of bag, same style of bag, but I got them in two prints because I just had to have them. They were so cute. And you know, you can never have too many project bags, and I needed more like smaller project bags or individual project bags that I can throw projects in and take them with me where I go, places where I go. I don't know. Take them when I go places. And these are, I think, the perfect size. You should definitely check out her podcast. If you haven't, check out her shop. She is very sweet. Oh, I don't think I said anything, but she sends these adorable paper cranes in your order. And they are so cute. I was so happy to get a little paper crane from her. And I just propped it up over there by my little crochet sunflower trinket holder. And those were my yarn knitting related acquisitions. And I do have a few book related acquisitions to show you as well. First, I got these little magnetic bookmarks. Ooh, I just dropped one. They're these cute little magnetic, they like open up, and they aren't very strong magnets, but they are magnetic enough to hold your page. And this one has a cute little, again, the lighting, I'm so sorry. It says Dream Big, and it's a cute little sloth. And then there's a bumblebee and little like honeycomb design. And then this one's just a floral design. And then I have another green one that's in my Essential Bukowski. This one is a cloudy sky with a little bee that says Wander on it. These I think I also got at Hobby Lobby. I've also acquired some books recently that I want to share with you guys. There's only 4, but they are, one of them is very, very chunky. It is a chunky book. But it's a classic. So, but first I want to start off with a book that I was supposed to read in high school for English class, and I got a few chapters in, and then I think I was busy with volleyball season, and I just never finished it. But I'm very, very interested in finishing it because the author is from Albuquerque, and I don't know why you would know this about me, but if you don't, I'm from New Mexico, so this is, this is my culture, my heritage, and I feel like I need to actually read it. But it is Bless Me Ultima by Rodolfo Anaya, and yeah, he is from Albuquerque, I believe, or from New Mexico. He definitely wrote a book called Albuquerque, so if he's not from Albuquerque, he's at least from New Mexico, and he is the father of Chicano literature in English. I just feel like I need to do it because I'm from New Mexico, The next one is a random one that I came across actually in Barnes & Noble. We were just wandering around one day, and I saw this and it caught my eye, and it was really short, so I was like, I need to get it. I think I need to get it. It is 84 Charing Crossroad. I'm not sure how you say it. But it was this cute little book. It caught my eye, though, because it is a 20-year correspondence between an American writer and a British bookseller. And I thought that was such a really interesting concept. And I did kind of skim through it a little bit. I didn't really officially start reading it, though. But I love the idea. It's literally just written in the form of letters between the two people. And it says it's a beloved classic. I have never heard of it. I'd never seen it. But like I said, it was short and it sounded very interesting. So I got it, and I'm very excited to read this one day. This next one I got because it is one of my favorite stories, and I have never read it. But I have seen the movie probably 1,000,000 times at this point in my life, and it is The Count of Monte Cristo. I am so excited to read this giant book. It's massive, but I'm very excited to read it because the movie is just so good. The acting is amazing. The filmmaking is amazing. It's just a great story of revenge. And I love it. Oh yeah, and it's Alexandre Dumas, if you didn't know. I just also thought that this cover was really pretty, really interesting. It wraps around. I don't know. I love the moody texture of the pictures. And the next book that I got is actually knitting related. It's a knitting book. And I saw this at Joann's. I think we randomly went in there one day to kill some time, and I saw this, The Knowledgeable Knitter by Margaret Radcliffe. And I was looking at it and I was like, this is a very informative book. And it was on sale too. So I was like, I think I should get this so I can expand my knitting knowledge and become a knowledgeable knitter, Just really, yep. There seems to be, actually a lot of valuable information in here and not just the basics, Not stuff that you could just easily find on Google, but, things that you wouldn't even know to Google. So I'm excited. So those are all of my acquisitions, and now I wanted to go into my plans or my goals, and see what is coming up, what I have planned. So one thing that I mentioned in my last podcast is the Soundstone poncho, which I very much still want to make. I don't know when I will get to do it. Probably come January or something. If I can get all of the stuff that I want to get done by then I will definitely start the Soundstone poncho as soon as I can. As I mentioned, I have so many stuffed animals to make for my dad. I still have to make him a bear, a bunny, an eagle, a raccoon, and a beaver. But I did make the duck, which you saw. So I'm making progress. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 out of 6 to go, but I do have 1 out of 6 done. So we're making progress. Another thing that I have added to my plans, my future knitting goals, is to make a ranunculus. I have some stash yarn that I've just had for a long time. I think I got it on clearance, and that's the only reason I got it. And I have no idea what else I would do with it. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make a ranunculus and just finally join the rest of the knitting world in making a ranunculus. I did buy the pattern and I'm excited to make it, but like I said, I'm not sure when I will start a new project. But that is something that I want to do with this random yarn that I have. I also wanted to mention some books that I want to read that I have heard about or that I've just been meaning to read for a while. One of them I just saw on Instagram. Someone posted like a little quote from it, and it was From Heaven and Hell by John Coleman. Not exactly sure how to say that, but the quote was really interesting, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a writing style that I could get behind. So I am excited to look out for that book, From Heaven and Hell. This next book is definitely not one that is like a classic, or I'm reading it for the grandeur of it. It's just because I read the first 2 books, and now I feel like I have to give it a shot because I found the book, and it's A King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. It's the 3rd book in the Red Queen series. I read the first one. I liked it. It was pretty good. I read the second one. Didn't really like it, but I pushed through. And at the end, I was like, okay, well, sure. And I almost gave up on the series, but I found the 3rd book. So I was like, well, I have it. So maybe I should just try and read it. We'll see how it goes. But that's the only reason that I want to read it, is just to go with the series. There's only been one book series that I absolutely refused to finish, and that was the Divergent series. I literally threw my book across the room and stopped reading it. I was so irritated. I feel like I gotta give this one a shot because it's not that bad. I did not throw my book across the room yet. Oh, the other one though that I want to read is 100 Years of Solitude, and I want to read this pretty badly, I think. I really love the idea of magical realism books, and I haven't fully gotten into them, but I have heard so many people talk about 100 Years of Solitude, and I feel like I just need to bite the bullet and just read it and just do it. And so it's on my list of things that I want to read. And the last one that's on my list right now, currently, is Cloud Atlas. This is another, almost classic that I haven't read. I know they made the movie. I heard very mixed things about the movie, but I feel like the book sounds really interesting. I just want to give it a shot. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know much about it, but I'm very curious. All right, so those were all of my plans and dreams as far as knitting and reading and poetry goes. I feel like I have quite a lot to get into. Eventually I will. We'll see how long it takes me to get into all of these, because I want to try and finish what I have started first before I start new things. Otherwise, I will just continue to start new things and never finish the things that I have started. And I just wanted to close this out with some life updates, some of what's happening in my life. The first thing that I want to bring up has been very exciting for me the past few days, or I guess by the time you see this, it will have been a week. But it is that Taylor Swift released her new Midnights album, and oh my gosh, it is so good. It's so good. I wasn't sure what to expect. Like the sound of it, you know, there was so many people speculating of like if it was going to be more rock themed or if it was going to be a little bit edgier, or like what vibe she was kind of going for based on all of the album art that she came out with and all of the dresses that she was wearing at awards shows before she released it. Nothing could have prepared me for what it was. It's so good. I will say there definitely are like 70s, 80s inspired things in the album, but I will also say that it's very modern and it is very Taylor Swift. And I feel like there's one song in particular that to me sounds like or reminds me of Billie Eilish, which is just wild. And then there's a collaboration with Lana Del Rey on the album, and that one you can definitely hear Lana's influence. But the album as a whole, I am just so excited for, and I have so many thoughts to say, and I think I will make a whole video, probably multiple, about the Midnights album. 3 a.m. edition, of course, because why would we talk about anything else? And another exciting thing, the weather has started to change. It keeps going back and forth. It'll rain and cool off for like a couple days or so, and it'll be really nice, and you can wear sweaters and be really cozy and enjoy fall weather. And then it'll get back up to like 80s, 90s and be really hot and sunny. But we're getting there. It's starting to change. It's slowly making its way, and I'm excited for it. And I've definitely been feeling, I don't know if it's because of the weather changing, but I've definitely been feeling more like reading. Like I want to read and write more now. And like I said, I don't know if that's because it's just a cozy thing to do, and it's becoming the cozy time of year where you light a candle and drink some hot tea or coffee or hot chocolate and, you know, sit by the fire and read a book. But I have just been really wanting to spend more time reading and definitely more time writing. But yeah, that was everything that I wanted to share with you guys and show you are all caught up. This was such a fun podcast. Check out my poetry video if you want to know what makes a poem a poem. I did that kind of video. And I have a lot planned, and I'm very excited to get into it. Dive deeper into the poetry pool, if you will. And also, I want to make videos about the Midnight album because there's so much happening. Taylor Swift is a master songwriter, storyteller. I do have a poetry video planned. It's going to be like where to start with poetry if you have no idea how to get into poetry, if you're interested in poetry, kind of where to start so you don't get super overwhelmed or lost or discouraged. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe for more knitting and poetry related content. Leave your thoughts below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!